Okay guys, I found one of these on the side of the road in the trash. It's a space heater that you can put on a tabletop. It's made by Hampton Bay, I believe, and it was sitting out in the trash. The truth is, I've already fixed this, but what I'm going to do is show you how I fixed it. I didn't plan on making a video until I got in and found what the problem really was, and then once I did, I decided, you know, there's probably nothing up here on the internet that shows how to fix this. So as you remove this thing, these screws that are around the outside, you find that you can't take it right off right away because inside of here is the gas valve that can pivot for you to put in a bottle and slide it down inside the container here. So this is the swivel joint right here that'll hold the gas, but over here on the other side there's just a support, and it's just held in with a nut. And so what you need to do is just go in there and undo that.
So you get that loose.
And this will come right off the base. Here's your valve assembly right here that operates the valve. It has a off position, pilot position. You push it down to light the pilot, and then when it lights, you then can go over to low and high or wherever you want to have this for controlling the heat. Okay, so inside of here, let me look up here. Here's your igniter. This is where the piezoelectric will put a flash across here to ignite your pilot light. So when you're holding the pilot light down, you will get a blue flame here when you click this. And you hold it down until this thermocouple heats up. And the thermocouple is bimetallic, so with it has a difference in temperature, it'll start to develop a voltage. So what I did was I've measured the voltage that I get out of this, and it's about anywhere from 15 to 20 millivolts. Now that voltage comes down and it's being brought by these white wire. You'll notice here it's hard to see, there's a white wire and a copper wire inside there that goes down. So the copper wire comes down and comes around into this point right in here. You can see that. But it does that by going through first this switch. Now this switch has these two lines. One of them is the white line that comes from the thermocouple, and the other one that comes from the switch and goes over to the electromagnet. So I've taken these off and I've cleaned them, and it still doesn't work. I can hold it down and I can get the pilot light to light, but when I let my finger off the pilot light, it goes off every time. And I can't otherwise make it stay on. So I think what we've done is we found out that that's the problem. The reason this was out to the curb is the thing would not ever go out of the pilot light position. So what we're going to do is get this dump switch out of here and open this thing up and get into the switch and see what that problem is. Okay, I'll bring you back. So here's the problem. It's this switch. Here it is. I've got the cover off of it, and here I'm going to show it operating. So when I took this apart, it did not have any continuity. So what I did was I sprayed it with deoxit, and then I just took a strip of paper and just dragged the paper between the contacts until it started making contact again. So I'll put this back together again into the dump switch, and we'll see if that doesn't fix the problem. By the way, when I took this out, you see that little spring right there fell out, and you can imagine my fun I had trying to find that on the pavement, but I did. Anyway, so the switch works now. When you put it back together again, we'll test the dump switch, and then we'll put it back into the heater and see if that fixed it. Hang on. So put the cover back on. Okay, cover's back on. Let's just test it again. I've cleaned these contacts as well. They needed some cleaning. Excellent, still works. Okay, so here are the elements of the switch. Inside of this, there's a ball that's used to determine whether this thing is upright or laying down. The ball operates a lever inside here that presses on this switch. Alright, so what we'll do is position the switch in here. Okay, and here's the lever. So the lever engages a pin that's there and the ball. I can make this go together like that. So I got to get that pin to engage in that little socket right there. Much easier said than done, let me tell you. I'm wondering if swinging that switch out of the way will help by removing the tension on that leaf. Let's just see if that helps a little bit. Okay, I think I got it pretty well put together here. Now this switch can pivot in and out, so what I'm going to do is put this screw through that'll hold it from pivoting. Alright. So now that won't pivot. Now I'm going to hook this thing up to my tester to test for continuity on the switch. Let's see. Okay, it's ready. Moment of truth. Right side up, it's making contact. If it falls over, it opens it. So when it's up, right side up, it allows continuity for the thermocouple to go through to the little electromagnet inside the valve. But if the thing gets knocked over, it disconnects the thermocouple, shuts off the electromagnet, and cuts off the valve inside the gas valve. So I'm going to say this was it. Alright, so I'm going to put this back into the unit and we'll see if that did the job. Okay, I've got to try to remember how this thing was in here. So these are the two connections that go to here. One of them comes from the thermocouple and the other one goes from there to the little electromagnet, which is inside this valve right here. And it requires the power from the electromagnet to operate it. And it's about, it looks like it's about 15 millivolts is what I had measured when I put something to it. I measured between this copper looking common and one of these leads right here as it came from the thermocouple. I got anywhere from 15 to 20 millivolts. That's enough to operate this solenoid valve to tell this gas valve to turn on or to be able to be on. Alright, now I gotta remember how this goes together. I never noticed so much airplane noise at my place ever before. Okay. It doesn't look like that snapped together quite right. Snapped together there, okay. There we go. Okay, so now this, you see, it's pretty dark in there, isn't it? This attaches to this bracket that's here. And what it wants to do is sit upright in there. So I believe it used to sit in there something like this. Yep, these guys were, yep, this was where I could get to that screw. So it must have been like that. So if that's the case, that means that this was held on something like so. Okay, so that's just holding this so-called dump switch. And I call it that because it says so right here. I don't know if you can see that, but it says FD4, Foxtrot Delta 4, dump switch. So that's what that is. So it wants to be in this kind of orientation. It slips up over this guy right here. Like that. Figure out the best way to get that regulator arranged so it's not in my way. Okay, that's got it pretty solid. So then I can make up the connections. This one comes from the thermocouple up into the burner head. So I'm going to put it on one side of the switch. I've cleaned these contacts up with deoxit and sanded them. And then this one goes from the switch to the electromagnet, which is located right in there. Side of this is where it connects up. The electromagnet is underneath this clamp, and it operates this valve. The valve that's in here. There you go. You can see that brass-looking thingy down there. That's the valve. Okay. So while I've got this up and out, I'm going to see if I can just make it function handheld here. So over here I've got a propane tank with a liter line. I've got to do something about the focus on this thing. Okay, so that's attached. Turn on the gas pressure. Turn this up right. Alright, so I'm going to back you up. Alright. So now I'm going to turn this from off to on. I'm going to push in the pilot light, hit the piezo igniter, and we should see a pilot light start up right here. Let's see if we get it. We got it. Can you see that blue flame right there? You can barely see it there. Yeah. So I'm going to wait, let it see if it'll warm up that thermocouple some. See if that was low enough. Look at that, it's still burning. That's a first. Okay, we're going to test the dump valve. No, let me turn it on first. So now I'm going to turn it from pilot to low. Oh, don't do this. Don't do this at home, kids. Okay, now let me see if the dump valve works. I'm going to tip it over on its side. Excellent. Excellent. That worked. Go back. Light it. And it's good to go. Excellent. So we fixed this thing without having to compromise it at all, and I'm very happy about that. So I'll put this thing back together again and see if it works. But yeah, the trash provided again. This is about a $100 item, and heck, you know, what the heck? I needed something like this when I'm working outside or I'm doing a barbecue in the middle of the morning, late at night. So I'll put this back together again, bring you back. Okay, so now I've explained how you got to this point. I'm now going to put this back together again. Take the base, put this on here like so. This is that pivot point that lines up with this point here, and then it goes. So I'm going to put these screws in first to give me some mechanical support so I'm not hanging on the pivot. Notice the airplane noise has kind of gone away. I guess the push is over. Or they've changed the departure procedures to give us a break. I don't know. I hear another plane coming. I spoke too soon. Yep, I spoke too soon. Okay, so this is for the pivot. Quick check before I go much further. So push this in, turn it to this position, hold it in, and then I want to click the igniter. When I do that, you watch the pilot light, and it's lit. I'll let the plane go over. Okay, so bring this in. And it's got a spot here for, I think, putting a match in to light the pilot, I guess, if your igniter goes bad. Now, would that ever happen? Let's see. How would that go? Let's go like this. Okay. So then this protector goes on. Like that. So I believe what this does is this probably goes on like this, I'm going to guess. Yep, pilot light is lit. Okay, so as you can see, the pilot light is lit. And I'm not holding my finger on it anymore. So let's see what happens if I dump this thing over. And the pilot light went out, which is what you want. Okay, so I'm going to relight it, hold it in, hit the igniter, and there it is. Now let the thermocouple be sure it's still warm, probably still is. Button's released. Okay, so I'm going to come down here and turn it to low. And look at it light, look at that. Yeah, this reflector hood on the top is all bent, so I'm going to have to straighten that all out. Boy, look at this thing go, man. I'm going to turn it to high, just for fun, see what we get. Stand well back. It's a couple of days later. The flame is just too yellow, and that usually means it's not enough air getting in, mixing with the propane, and that means I don't see any shutter in here that you can use to adjust this. So I'm going to just assume I'm going to try to just clean the burner assembly and see if that doesn't help. So hang on, let's get this thing back open and we'll see if we can clean this out and improve the burn quality.
Yeah, there's a nut underneath there. Get this nut off.
Okay, there's some kind of, I don't know what that is, some kind of ash or something in here. So this may be clogging up some of the holes, and also there's, the gas comes up from below and you can see inside there it's just packed with stuff inside there. So let me get that blown out of there and we'll see what we can do. Yeah, there's spider webs and stuff down in there. There we go. Spider webs. So this is what's obstructing, I can't tell if you're focused or not. This is what's obstructing the gas flow, causing it to burn yellow. I think that's going to do a lot better. Get the rest of that out. I think we found the problem is all those spider webs packed down inside that hole. Okay, so that's on. Put this plate back on. Probably wondering, why don't you clean this up? I don't know. Do I need to? Does anybody see it? Okay. Let's see if that works any better. Okay, so we got it all reassembled. We got the gas, we got a new tank, got it fit up, cleaned out the tube that was inside there. Now we're ready to reignite it. Pilot should still be warm. Hold it in, see if she fires. And yep, she's burning in there. See that blue flame right in there. Okay, back up. There we go. That's what we're supposed to see. Nice. We'll go to high, so we can see how great it looks. There we are at high. And you don't see that yellow flame, so we're burning all the propane and it's getting maximum heat out. So it's going to be, boy, it's putting out heat just sitting here. Wow, incredible. Alright guys, so that's the fix of this item, found out in the trash. These things are made by, I don't know what company, they're branded under a number of different brands. I earlier said Hampton Bay. I couldn't actually find an example of that, but I found some others I listed out in the title earlier. So the main problem this had is it had the tilt switch, or the dump switch that was located down in here, was not allowing this thing to stay lit. You could light the pilot light, but as soon as you release the knob to try to get to low, it would just shut the whole thing off. We did not bypass that switch. We took the switch out, we cleaned it. I showed you how to clean it with using some contact cleaner. You just use a piece of paper that you get wet. A business card is perfect. Just cut it into a strip, get it wet with contact cleaner, and put it in between the contacts and just slide it back and forth. And sometimes you'll see it'll create a little track there of carbon or some kind of dirt buildup. Then I checked it with my multimeter on continuity to make sure it went through, and then the item's working. Okay, put it back in, tested it, made sure this thing will still work in the safety position where if this thing falls over, it kills the gas, and it does that. And then we got this thing together. It was putting out a lot of yellow flame, which indicates not enough oxygen getting into the mixture. Okay, so what you saw we did here has been a couple of days later. Is this thing was obviously quite cold by then. Took it all apart, took the burner assembly apart, and as you saw, this down inside the tube inside there, it was just full of spiderweb mess and some kind of ash that had gotten in there, and it was just clogging it up, and the propane just couldn't get through like it was supposed to. So we just removed that. It was just as simple as could be, and then just put the thing back together again, and the thing works. So these things go from anywhere for like $100, $150. You find them maybe on sale, depending what time of year it is. We're going into spring now, so they're not even in stores anymore. But as you can see, the grill is now starting to turn red. This is awesome. It's putting out a lot of heat, and we just had a cold front go through, so this is good. All right, guys. Here's our another curb find. The curb provides. Thanks a lot. Thanks for watching. Bye.